In Wuxing Prefecture, there have always been many incidents of robbery and theft. One day, the prefect caught a thief, so he summoned the thief's relatives and flogged him dozens of times in front of them. Then he assigned him to clean the streets for a long time. After a long while, he asked him to report on previous thieves to replace himself in cleaning the streets. The other thieves, afraid of being recognized by him, all fled. From then on, there were no more thieves in the territory. Punishing the thief in front of his relatives and making him clean the streets for a long time served as a warning and let others see the consequences of making mistakes. Shaming the relatives also makes them unable to tolerate him continuing to be a thief. At the same time, only thieves know who the thieves are. Asking him to report and have someone else replace him is much more effective than using constables. Having the thief report on others also makes other thieves afraid, thus achieving the purpose of preventing crimes. During the Three Kingdoms period, one day, there were people rebelling in General Zhang Liao's army. They set fires and caused chaos at night, and the entire army was in great turmoil. The general said to the generals beside him, "Don't act rashly. This is definitely not a rebellion by the entire army. It must be that the rebels want to use this to mislead people's ears and eyes." He issued an order to the military camp. "If you have not participated in the rebellion, sit still and don't move." Then Zhang Liao personally led dozens of his personal guards and stood in the formation. Soon, the ringleader of the rebellion was indeed captured and executed. In case of sudden emergencies, we should keep a calm mind and not be affected by the chaotic situation. Only by calming down can we accurately analyze the situation and make correct judgments and decisions. When encountering problems, we cannot act blindly. By observing and thinking about the situation, it is judged that it is not a rebellion by the entire army, which provides the correct direction for subsequent actions. After determining the response strategy, we should act decisively. The general quickly issued an order to stabilize the morale of the army and personally led his personal guards to take actions, showing decisive decision-making ability and execution power. At critical moments, the role of leaders is extremely important. The general's calmness, decisiveness, and bravery set an example for the soldiers and stabilized the morale of the army. By stabilizing those who did not rebel and capturing the ringleader of the rebellion was quickly quelled, reflecting the general's wisdom and ability to solve problems. During the Jin dynasty, the prime minister often attended the emperor's banquets. One day, after returning home, he said to his sons, "The emperor has initiated a great cause, and it should have been passed down for a long time. However, every time I accompany him for meals, I have never heard him talk about the grand plans for governing the country. He only mentions daily trifles. I'm afraid that his descendants will be in great danger. The cause will stagnate with him, and the future of his descendants is worrisome. You people of this generation may still have a peaceful end." Then, pointing at his grandsons, he said, "When you grow up, the country will surely be in turmoil." Later, his grandson was indeed killed in a political struggle, and his son cried out, "My grandfather was truly wise." In our daily lives and work, we should cultivate the ability to keenly perceive the surrounding environment and situations. Through observing details, analyzing the words and deeds of others, etc., we can gain an in-depth understanding of the essence and development trend of things, thus being able to make wiser decisions and avoid getting into a passive situation in the future. The prime minister, through his observations during the banquets with the emperor, noticed that the emperor only talked about daily trifles and never about the grand plans for governing the country. This warns us that as a leader, one should possess the vision to look far ahead and the ability to formulate long-term plans. The development of a cause requires a clear direction and strategic layout. Focusing only on daily trifles while ignoring the macroscopic planning is likely to lead to the stagnation of the cause, making it impossible to achieve long-term development and even affecting the subsequent development and fate. The prime minister, during what seemed to be a peaceful period, detected the future crisis of the country from the emperor's behavior, and foresaw the worrisome situation of his descendants. This tells us that no matter what relatively stable environment we are in, we should always maintain the awareness of being vigilant in times of peace. We should not ignore the potential risks just because of the current calmness. Instead, we should be good at discerning the factors that may affect the overall situation from the subtleties and make preparations in advance to ensure the continuous development of our cause and the long-term interests of our families and the country. In the Zhou dynasty, the prime minister saw someone with disheveled hair offering sacrifices in the wild. He said, "Within less than 100 years, this place will be occupied by the surrounding ethnic minorities, because the rites and ceremonies here have already been lost." Sure enough, 100 years later, things turned out exactly as predicted back then. Seeing the unconventional way of sacrificing in the local area indicates that rites and ceremonies occupied an important position in the social concepts of that time. They were an important indicator for measuring the social order and the degree of civilization of a place. When the system of rites and ceremonies began to get into chaos or became lacking, it often foreshadowed that the society might face some unrest or changes. After seeing this phenomenon, one could infer from it the major changes that might occur in this place within less than 100 years, which showed that he had a keen eye for details. This enlightens us that in our daily lives, we should be good at noticing the seemingly ordinary details around us, because these details are often the precursors of certain trends or major changes. Through precise analysis of the details, we may also be able to make certain predictions about the future, thus making preparations in advance. When General Su De of the Ming dynasty besieged the emperor of the barbarians, he intentionally left an opening and let him escape. The deputy general was very angry and thought that he had let go of a great opportunity to achieve merit. The general said, "Although he is a barbarian, he has long occupied the imperial throne. If we really capture him, what should our lord do with him? Grant him a piece of land to enfeoff him, or kill him and cause retaliation? Since neither is feasible, it is best to let him go." The deputy general still could not agree with his view for a while. Later, when they reported back to the palace, it indeed conformed to the emperor's intention, and he was not blamed. Military victory is not merely about capturing the enemy. One must also consider the subsequent impact of this act in the political landscape. Granting land may damage the interests of one's own country, and killing may lead to retaliation. Neither is conducive to the long-term stability of the country and the tranquility of the border.
More detail, more story, follow me, please.